First of all, I just want to say thank you for being here. What a great crowd. Beautiful Thursday morning. Those of you that were here the last time we had an event, it was 2 years ago, and I think we got a foot of snow. So we had about 30 people here, so that was pretty rough. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Aaron Eggert. I am the founder and Chief Vision Officer of Coalition 9, and also the Executive Director of the C9 Gibbs Foundation. I'll talk about that in a little bit here. I just want to thank some people to make this thing happen because we had a lot to get to today. First of all, there's a sign right over there and there's a table right over there for our community supporters. Who here is a community supporter? Please stand up. Please stand up. Yep. Awesome. So those people that are community supporters, those are big thank you people. They help make this community happen. These help make these events happen, along with your membership and the supporters of this event. So thank you to all of our community supporters. Check out those logos on that sign and check out that table for some sweet swag from our community supporters. I also want to thank our event supporters. So Lakeside HR, Aaron, where are you? Can you raise your hand? Aaron Hargrove, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate it. We also have 2 event supporters, and Dustin from Modern Logic, who I'm going to introduce in a little bit, and then Brian Johnson from 7 Minute Security, who I'll introduce as well. And then Heather. This is an educational event. Heck yeah, we got some claps for Heather. If you haven't seen her do this, it's going to blow your freaking mind. So I'm going to have her tell a little story at the end of how she came to this, but it is genius what she's able to do by taking what they're saying and apply it to graphics. I also want to thank our event partners. We have 2 event partners for this event. Steve Schoenberger. Steven, come on up, buddy. Stephen was, once we announced this event, Stephen was the first person to come up to us and say, hey, I want to support that event. This aligns with what we're doing from a financial planning standpoint. There's some things that tie in really well with what we're doing. So I want to bring them up here just to talk for a minute or two just about what they do.
20 minutes? Yeah. So it's very noisy. I didn't know there'd be so many people. So I asked Perplexity to tell me a joke to start, being in the AI theme, but it's not really funny enough for this many people, but I'll tell it anyways, which is a hacker walks into a bar and the bartender says, we don't serve your type in here. And he said, it's okay, I'm not drinking, I'm just here fishing for compliments. Yeah. So comedians aren't worried for their jobs quite yet, but I just, again, it was great to sponsor this event. Thanks to C9, you guys keep putting on better and better events. It's really wonderful to see so many people here. I think it's a testament to this topic being so timely. And as you mentioned, I mean, it's something, as a financial advisor, we do holistic planning. We talk to our clients about anything that touches their lives financially. And every single one of my clients, probably every single one of you, has experienced some sort of phishing, hacking, scamming. It's becoming more and more prevalent, and it's not just parents and grandparents anymore. It's our peers. And so it's something we all need to be aware of. And I think calling attention to it really helps us continue to be better business owners, better for our clients, and more responsible ourselves. So thanks to C9. Thanks to all of you for being here. And let's keep it going.
Thank you, Stephen. Love it. Our other event partner is Layer 8 Solutions. So Brandon's not a big public speaker, so he wrote me a little something, so I'm going to just read it off here. Layer 8 Solutions is a dedicated partner in crafting custom IT solutions designed specifically for startups and SMBs. Layer 8 believes in providing enterprise-grade support at a small business investment, ensuring your technology scales seamlessly with your growth. Their expertise spans DevOps, cloud hosting, and proactive security, safeguarding your business while optimizing costs. Beyond that, Layer 8 offers white glove vendor management and 24/7 support along with building future-proof infrastructure that adapts to your evolving needs and ensuring a long-term success. Here's what's really cool about what they're doing. So first of all, if you go over there, anybody who knows me knows I'm a dog person. I'm in the people business, and sometimes I like dogs more than people. And so Brandon is also a dog person. So there's some dog toys that are Layer 8 branded, which are pretty sweet. So grab yourself a dog toy. And before you leave, he's got a QR code over there, and he's going to raffle away a laptop. Yeah. So that's pretty sweet. So Brandon, thank you so much for your partnership on this. You need to register by Monday, and he's going to announce the winner next Monday, the following Monday, the 16th, on LinkedIn. So you need to register and follow Layer 8 Solutions on LinkedIn to find out if you won. Okay. So Brandon, could you stand up real quick? Where are you? There, he's shocker. He's way up there, out of the away, as far away from the stage as possible. Brandon is a new C9er. He wanted to jump in on this event because the work that they do complements Loffler really well. So I'm excited to have you as a partner and a new C9er. All right, we're getting close. I want to welcome my friend James Loffler up. James and I have known each other, I think, for like 15 years, and we were sales guys for separate companies. And you know, the support he's given me as a friend in 15 years, sales into leadership, and then now being fellow entrepreneurs, has been amazing. And you know, they're a huge supporter of Coalition 9 through membership, have multiple members. But more than anything, I'm just pumped to have him as a friend. As usual, we've got a bunch of other mutual friends that are in this room supporting this as well. So just say a few things about Loffler and our partnership, man.
Thanks, buddy. I was just telling a story earlier today how I met Aaron at a breakfast joint, right? Remember, 7:30 in the morning, sharing leads. So he's come a long way. Aaron obviously has an incredible knack for connecting people, right? I'm sure every one of you have felt at some point in your life like Aaron's got your back, and if there's something you're trying to accomplish, he's going to go out of his way to try to connect you with somebody and make it easier for you. So thanks for all you do in the community. We're big fans of Coalition 9. At Loffler Companies, we actually have multiple people in our leadership team that are members of Coalition 9. We believe that if we're going to have an incredible company, we have to have incredible people. And it's our job as leaders to develop those people. So thank you for the development and the role you play in our leadership at Loffler Companies. It's pretty awesome. Let's hear it for Aaron, huh? All right, now it's time for the sales pitch. I'll make it short. So Loffler Companies, raise your hand if you've heard of Loffler Companies before. I'm just curious. All right, so we're doing a good job. Loffler Companies is an office technology company, and we do a lot of different things: cybersecurity, managed IT, copy print, physical security cameras, door access, unified communications. So a lot of different technology. What we're really good at is designing, implementing that technology, and then managing it in a way where your team gets world-class results. So it's very common for our partners to start in one of those areas, and we do a fantastic job. And over time, before you know it, Loffler's designing all of your technology. And because we're designing it together, we're creating an ecosystem that's really optimized and secure and efficient in your environment. So in short order, that's who we are. That's what we do. Again, thanks for having us. Thanks for being here. Great day. Thanks, Aaron.
Awesome. All right, so let's get to the why on this. So this is a little bit of my brainchild, like many of our events are. And I go to so many different events that I just feel like there's this high level, where's AI going? What's going on in cybersecurity stuff? And there's just not a lot of tangible facts that are being shared or displays. And so we do two different kind of events. We either do panel discussions or we do workshops. And this is a very different way that we've handled things in the past, because we're gonna watch things happen kind of in real time. Dustin's is gonna be we're gonna try and make it funny. So let's have some fun with it a little bit. So he's asked me to engage with you guys at a crowd level. So I'll be walking around and asking questions and fielding questions. But when I thought about people that are going to tackle these two topics that are not only have an outstanding personality, but bring subject matter expertise to the next level, it was Dustin and Brian. So we're going to get started with Dustin first. Dustin, you wrote this thing and I'm not even going to read it. I'm just going to say what I hated reading that thing before. So Dustin, I met him a couple years ago. This guy has done it over and over and over of starting businesses and successfully exiting. He's a software guru. He's investing his time now into AI. But like I talked to him about a little bit earlier, is that he wants to take AI and make it more accessible for your business, not just talking about high-level surface things and not just ChatGPT. So what can you do to apply this and make it your business more efficient, make your business more applicable to the future? So that's why we chose Dustin. Dustin loves mentorship as well. So if you've got some young people in your life or you want a little bit of knowledge around AI and software, he loves to build new relationships through that. So I'm going to hand it over to Dustin. Dustin's got a live mic on. I'm at your beck and call, dude. So whatever you need me to do, I'm going to work the crowd. Fire away.
All right, can people hear me? Yes, good. All right, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to do some live presentation. I've never worked with this Teams environment before, so bear with me as we work on the technology together. So let me share my screen, and I apologize in advance. We expected the monitor to be like 70 feet, and it's only, so there's going to be a tiny bit of squinting maybe, and I'll try to read off the relevant things. I also typically I'm out here gesturing and so on, but because it's a live demo, I'm going to be turning to my computer. Particularly this mic, if I kind of go like this, you can't hear me. So just wave at me if it's like I suddenly drop offline and you can't hear me. So give me 1 sec here to share my screen. All right, can everyone see presentation? See there, I turned. All right, so we're gonna build a business. I've built 5 software businesses here in the Twin Cities. So some of them have been successful and exited, and some have, been semi-successful, and me and the identical twin decided to do something else. And I can tell you straight out, I've never seen something as a technologist more exciting and more terrifying than AI, right? And I'm sure everyone here, raise your hand if you haven't used GPT. Okay, yeah. So like everyone's used it. Everyone has done what we call, feeling the AGI, right? You use it and you have a moment where you're like, wow, this is going to change everything. And then you use it a little more and you're like, maybe not, right? So this talk in particular is pretty high level. I wanted to just do something really fun and talk through, if I were to close Modern Logic today and start a new business, what would be my go-to tools to build it in much more rapidly? So maybe 40 minutes, right? So previous iterations of my business have taken months or years to build up. And I feel like with AI, 40 minutes is a reasonable target to build an entire business. Like our jobs are completely replaced, right? So that's the premise of the talk. We're gonna start by crowdsourcing a business idea. And I do have to say, since this is high level, we're not going to be dealing with RAG. We're not going to be talking about vector databases. We're not going to be talking about how to deploy this stuff with your own data, your own cloud. We're going to be using publicly available tools. Most of them have a free trial that you can go and play with today. But I should emphasize, and I do have a slide later, anything of any serious depth is going to take more than 40 minutes. And your AI requires humans still to evaluate its output and determine what's good. So what you're going to see is us rapidly build out a business structure, a business outline, but then what you're going to want to do is actually put in the effort, review what the AI does. It's like having a really amazing recent college grad that has been taught everything in human history, but doesn't quite know how or where to apply it. So it just happily and excitedly brings you an answer. And you're like, maybe let's tweak that a little bit, right? But what it's really good at is doing large volumes of synthesis very, very quickly. And that allows us as business owners to get away from what I think of as the white page problem. If you do any creative writing, your enemy is like that blank page, right? And as a business, if you started your business, I'm a software engineer, to do software engineering, we all end up in this room because we realize that there is a big gap between what you're good at and running a software business or running a accounting business or running a law firm, right? That's where AI can really help. It can also help in the daily automation of your business and the delivery of your services. But at a very start, for people at the C-suite and executive level, it's just a really good sounding board when you feel like if you bring it to your leadership team, you're going to look like an idiot. That's where AI comes in. So let's start. Welcome to AI Business Creation. We're going to start, what should we build? So this is where I call on Aaron. So throw out some business ideas that, something zany, something fun,
There we go, Josh. All right, so something funny.
So as an example, I use the Grim Mower as my setup, which was the lawn service that kills your lawn so you never have to mow again. That was, and it did an amazing job building out the branding for that. So.
All right, what do you got, Josh?
Fun. Let's see. This is a pain point. I need a virtual tech support assistant for my 80-year-old mother, so she stops asking me if she should click on this email or if she should, like, how her iPhone is working or not working.
So tech support for senior citizens.
So tech support for elderly people / senior citizens.
Tech support for elderly people. All right.
Is that good? All right.
Everyone okay with that? Anyone have? All right, let's do it. So first, this one is an easy one. So naming the business, right? I am terrible at names. I have named, my last business name was Idea Swarm. That tells you everything you need to know. Like, geez, who did that, right? To Modern Logic, we actually named it by hiring someone to come up with a list of 100 names. And then we vetoed it down to 30 and we ran Google ads on the 30. And that's how we came up with Modern Logic. It wasn't some name we picked out of a hat. And originally I hated it because, again, I'm terrible at names. And it grew on me over time. Well, now I wouldn't have to pay that creative writer a few $1,000s. I could just switch over to ChatGPT. So let me just go grab my prompt really quick. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to try to tease in some learning here. So those of you who have heard of the prompt engineering field, prompt engineering is incredibly important because if you think of AI as a cloud of all human knowledge, this is a real layman's synthesis of what it does. Prompt engineering says, go find this piece of the cloud that's related to the words that I'm speaking, and then synthesize from that perspective, right? So if you don't give it anything, it synthesizes from all human knowledge. But if you say, hey, this is the context, it's gonna go find things that are adjacent to that context to start, and then it starts moving over time, right? So to start, we're gonna switch over to ChatGPT, and I'm gonna paste we're gonna switch to a new chat here. We're gonna do everything. First of all, don't do what I do. It's a cobbler's kid situation. Start new chats for most of your questions. I'm gonna keep everything in one chat. But as the AI moves from that context that you've chosen out, it gets less and less accurate. So starting a new chat and reprompting is the appropriate thing to do. But this is a demo. So in the spirit of demoing, we're not gonna do the extra work. All right. So this is an example. Can you give me 10 interesting standout names for a small business that? And then I'm just gonna type in here. Provides IT services for senior citizens who may not understand tech, right? Keep them short and suggest 5 taglines for each. And then what I'm doing here is called few shot prompting. So this is something that prompt engineering has been talking about for a while. Google just published this in their prompt engineering guidelines, which is a really good document to read. But if you give it some examples of the output that you want, like a business that sells drunk pets, tipsy tales, just because they don't let you drink at work doesn't mean your pet can't, right? Or a business that grows people's lawns and salts the earth, Grim Mower, rest in peace lawn. So these are examples of what the output I want it to generate should look like and sound like, right? Giving it more context and more examples is more likely to get you what you want than just asking it. If you just ask it, it's going to do something off the wall. All right, so we got Techie Granny, Silver Surf. So I'm gonna go just off sort of general audience feedback. So if you see something you really like, Gentle Tech, Easy Seniors, Plug and Play. Hello Human. I'm kind of a fan of Hello Human. Bright Button, Control Alt Delete. All right. All right. So Control Alt Delete. Playful, tech fun, full of joy. Restart your relationship with tech could be our tagline. Fixing more than just your keyboard. Escape frustration, enter delight. And then you can see it errored out because I asked it to produce too much information, and this is still a new tool, right? Like if you want to be using this in your business, this is great for this kind of thing because I can just reprompt it. But imagine you have a sales team that isn't tech savvy and you want them to be using it, and you've created a chat bot for them to say, I want, what is my standard operating procedure for dealing with this kind of client? And it does this kind of thing. That's why it's still brand new and why experts like us would get involved. But in the absence of that, when you're just ideating, we've got Control Alt Delete, playful tech fun. I like it. So that's an example of what we call few shot prompting. We've got the name for the business. Now let's talk about logos, right? So be careful with art generation that you publicly show, because in a lot of cases, if you don't work with it, people are going to know it's AI generated, and that's going to create a certain sort of ethos. There's people who hate AI generated art. There's still a debate going on about AI generated art. But to just get started with your business, if you're like me and you have not an artistic bone in your body, I think this is really democratizing. That said, once you get a little further along, maybe pay a pro artist to redesign your logo. So we're going to use something called Canva. So Canva is a design tool that does presentations and decks. It also does logo generation. It does social media. A lot of you have probably used it, and if you haven't, it's shockingly competent at what you're doing. And it's got an AI feature called Canva AI, where we can paste in and say, we want to create a logo for our brand, right? So I'm just going to go and get our logo. So craft me a bright, memorable logo for our business. Control, I'm gonna put this in quotes, Control Alt Delete. That does what? What do we do? I should save this. Provides tech support. Typing in real time is super fun.
It's actually pretty impressive how good of a job
All right.
he's doing that.
So do it in a modern style that's playful but reserved. Use a few colors that would look good with our brand identity. That's joyful. So see, again, I'm providing additional context because this is what I want from the AI. I don't want to just give it generate me a logo for this thing. It'll do it, but you'll have to go through way more synthesis. So most of us have used these diffusion models before to generate logos and generate so much. This is just using multiple. What I like about Canva is it does multiple, so I can kind of choose between them. And you can see already, like, it's done an okay job putting some of this together. It's still not great with text. So, we would probably pick something pretty generic like this fourth one, or we could regenerate until we get some ones we really like. But it's not so great at text, so you might want to go in and tune the text up or ask it to not put any text in the field and put the text on yourself. But it gets you started, and it's going to get you over that, oh crap, now I need a logo section. Typically I would use a text mark like Control Alt Delete as a good starting point for a business, and then design something for you later. I would probably spend another 10-20 minutes with this to come out with a logo that I liked. But let's just say, let's go with this fourth one. And this one here where you see CTRAL, this is an example. It doesn't understand what it's doing. It's a mathematical or statistical model, and it's shockingly smart at pretending it understands, but it doesn't actually understand that the text is Control Alt Delete. It has never seen that before, and so it's just put together. It's seen these letters before, and the human must want me to do this, so that's what it did. All right. So okay, but let's say we go with the fourth logo. All right, And that's our logo for our website and so on. And in Canva, what you want to do is you can go in and you can click on the one you like, which I'm not going to do right here because it'll get a pop-up window. And then you can export that in all the different formats that you need to export in PNG, SVG for your website, for your marketing, branding, and so on. The other cool thing about Canva is you can then take this, you can re-upload it and say, infer my brand identity from this logo, and it'll pick the colors out of the logo for your website and so on. We're not going to do that in the interest of time, but I think you know, it's a really good way to synthesize. Okay, now we've got a brand identity. Now we can build decks. Now we can build websites and so on out of that brand identity. Wrong tab. So, all right. So now we've got Control-Alt-Delete. We've got our tagline. We've got our logo. Now let's do the real hard work of the market analysis and business plan. This is another thing I don't think, unless you have an MBA, then you know, you probably haven't done total addressable market research or SOM or SAM or any of that stuff. So in this case, we're going to show what's called a chain of reasoning demo for chain of reasoning prompting to generate a market analysis for us. So I'm going to go over if that sounds really, really complex. What chain of reasoning? It must be a lot of words, right? But the reality is, give me an analysis of the market for the service, including ideal customer, TAM, SAM, SOM. Think step by step. That's all you need, right? You can do more, but if you tell the AI to think step by step, it goes through and elucidates each step more exact with more precision than it would if you hadn't told it to do that. And often that results in a better answer than if you don't prompt it with that at all. So literally by just saying think step by step, or if you're doing science papers for some reason, step back and take a breath for some reason works, you get a better result. So now it's going to go out and it's going to analyze the market. It's going to tell me, you know, what the service is, what the ideal customer profile could be. You know, our age is 60 plus, income is middle to upper middle class, it's urban and suburban areas, the living situations, it's independent or in assisted living. It's going to go and do the market size. And now this is really important. Do not use ChatGPT 4.0, which is what I'm using here. Don't do what I'm doing. Go in and when you ask it a question like this, hit tools and go to deep research. The reason I'm not doing that here is it takes 30 minutes or so to come back. And it goes through every single step of this with far more detail. It searches the web and it collates the data. And when you do the deep research, then on top of that, you want to go and make sure that the numbers it comes up with are real. Because the numbers here, US senior citizens, 82 million, assume 60% have tech, 49 million, right? Completely made up. It completely made those numbers up. They have no basis in reality. It didn't go search the web, and I know that because it didn't tell me it was going to search the web. This thing will lie to you like more than any. This is a pathological liar, and it's incredibly good at it. So deep research. Never trust what the AI gives you at default unless you have tuned it specifically for the output you're looking for, right? That said, deep research is really good as a starting point, and you can already see just even the structure of this would get me further than not having it. And this is an example, I did this earlier for an AI marketing company of what deep research would look like, right? It's got all these pop-ups because I got the demo account. So deep research will actually go through, this is one prompt, and generate step-by-step annotated information that you can then use as a research starting point for your company or feed to further AIs to narrow it down. So deep research is really, really cool. Again, don't trust the numbers, but this is going to do a lot of the work to go find the websites that you would normally be Googling and, you know, trying to put stuff together for you. So in the interest of time, where are we at? 9:30. When am I off, Aaron? It's 9:40. All right, I'll cook. So that's deep research. That's chain of reasoning prompting. So basically, a lot of this is prompting is probably here to stay for a little while. You might have AI help you prompt, but the reality is because it's a verbal interface that you're talking to, right? In order to get the data out, you need to put words in to figure out what data it is, because that's how the models themselves work underneath the hood. right? So let's go and do a business plan. So let's talk about controlling output a little bit. So another thing that people do in prompting, it just kind of gives you a big wordy block of text, right? And I don't really necessarily, I'm an engineer. I prefer it just output code. And then I could just load that in through a USB somewhere. But in general, it's going to be wordy because it was trained on all the words that they could get access to, right? And so what you want to do if you want to generate a lean business plan, for example, is generate a lean business plan for this business. And note here, I'm saying for this business. It understands all the context above in the chat. And in addition, it understands across the conversations that we've had previously, which can get you in trouble if you're using your personal account for work and vice versa, or you have a small business and another small business and you say generate a marketing plan. Well, the AI might mash those two marketing plans together. So oftentimes I'll just create a new account and if I have a new business. But let's say generate a lean business plan, include sections for executive summary. The important part is output in dense format using plain text. You can ask it to output code. You can ask it to output bullet points. You can ask it to output in probably in Shakespeare. That would have been a great demo, but I just thought of it now. So, and note it still puts the horizontal rules in. It really likes horizontal rules. So I should train it not to do that. But right here, it gives us an executive summary. It's used the wrong word because I didn't tell it, which one we were going with, but it goes through, it identifies the problem, the solution, target market, marketing strategy. So we're just going to copy this because I'm going to use this later. So let's talk. Okay, let's say that's a reasonable business plan. We read through it. We can charge $75 to $100 an hour. We have a $249 service package. Sounds reasonable as a starting point for a business. So we're going to go with it and base our business on it, not question it at all, right? Don't do this. Question the AI. But let's go and say, copy this, and let's go back to Canva and say, we're not going to fund this ourselves. We're going to use OPM, other people's money, right? It's something we tell startup people all the time is don't do it yourself. So we're going to say, give me a pitch deck for this business. And we're just going to paste in the output from ChatGPT and remove the beginning and the end where it's basically saying, hey, yeah, I can do that for you. And then we're going to just feed that directly into Canva and say, go, right? And scroll down and it's going to think for a little bit, right? So what I've done is I've generated a marketing plan and I pasted that entire dang thing into the Canva window, right? And it's going to finalize the design for a pitch deck that I can then edit and bring to my investors. Now, this is a good starting point. It's not yet at the point where it's going to get all the things right. In fact, it's going to lie. Again, it lies a lot. And all of the, I'm sure Canva's probably using ChatGPT under the hood. So we're talking to the same pathological liar. But you can see it has got me started and generated these multi-page slide decks for seniors, right? And it's gone through. It's a meet our founder, It's made something completely up about the founder. It's bridging the digital divide, right? That seems reasonable. Tailored IT services. It's made up a feature set based on that thing that I did. And so this gives me a good starting point for a deck that I would otherwise have to have built from scratch. I would have had to color it. If you have uploaded your brand colors, you can then use the AI to swap in all of your brand colors. And then you want to go in and change out the imagery because it won't intelligently determine what the backdrop looks like. But this is a lot better than what I normally start with when I go do a pitch deck, which is like a blank white canvas with 3 bullet points. And believe me, my slide deck looks a lot better here than it typically does. If you were in any of my previous presentations, it's basically like a white page with some bullets on it because I'm just out here hand waving and I don't even look at it, right? So now we have an investor deck. And now you take the few hours to pitch the investor deck and you've got your investor deck. But you want to do a talk like this? I used Canva to generate the architecture for this talk. That's why the pictures are so gorgeous. No, it does a generic job. I would have, you know, if I had a little more time, swapped out the images, but it gives you a really good starting point. In particular, Canva really loves these weird clip arty looking things, and I hate them. So I would have switched them out. But this is a good example of what it can generate. All right, so now let's go back to ChatGPT and let's use what we have and do a branding kit, because now that we've got the logo and we've got everything else, we're going to go back to ChatGPT and we're going to say, based on a business that's gone viral, because it's completely reasonable for us to, in 40 minutes, come up with a viral business, build me a branded positioning kit for, let's just say Control Alt Delete, or Control Alt Delete, all right? And so now it's going to use its marketing is something it's really good at. Now that said, pay your marketing professionals who are in this crowd, but it's got a ton of marketing copy because it's read the entire internet, which is mostly marketing copy, right? So it's going to go through and say, reboot your tech delightfully. It's going to go through your core concept, your positioning statement. For humans overwhelmed by technology, Control Alt Delete delivers hands-on help and good vibes, right? Feel good, warm and friendly, always human, never robotic. Think tech whisperer, not technician. So it gives you like what your brand personality is. So you could take this document, tweak it a little bit, and load it into something like a custom GPT, which allows you to provide context and basically create like a contextualized version of GPT that understands your brand voice. And then you could have conversations with that about your future marketing, your visual identity, and so on. All right. So the looking at time, we've got 7 minutes, so I'm going to keep going here. So now we've got the brand strategy and the brand identity. This is something I'm really terrible. If you know me, I'm just awful at brand identity. So we're going to ask it really quickly to generate a marketing campaign for me. And we're going to say, write 3 short, engaging social media posts for Control Alt Delete. Focusing on the benefits for our target market, include relevant hashtags, all right? Make it snappy and ready to go viral. Again, important to tell it what you want. I'm sure you've heard a lot of this already, but what the other piece that I would say is ask it to generate more than one, because it's usually not great. You see, of these, like one is one we actually like, and the rest we're going to discard. So post 1, your mom called. This one would market to me, because it's like, if it said your mother-in-law called, I'd be, you know, it's because I'm the tech support for our entire family. And I'm sure you are as well, Josh. So we translate tech to human, smash that panic button. So I'm a fan. Notice it's come up with tech support with heart, senior tech hashtags, modern aging, boomer fails. You know, it's come up reboot with love. I really like. So I'm going to copy this, right? Let's say this your mom called is a good basis for an Instagram campaign. And again, we're not using a whole lot of tools here, right? We're using things that are publicly available and easy for us to do. And we're going to paste this campaign in, and we're going to say, you know, create an Instagram post for our business, right? With the following theme. And we're just going to give it just basically whatever I could copy out of ChatGPT. The cool thing about ChatGPT is it can help you prompt other AIs and even itself. There's something called step back prompting, which I'm not going to demonstrate, where you ask it to give you a contextual prompt. Then you grab that prompt, copy paste it in, and then you ask it for a specific answer, and it generates better results, right? So here you go. It came up with this very nice, your mom called. It shows some technicians. Came up with this one, which looks like it should be on like a corkboard somewhere. You know, and it came up with this one, which you can ask it to do brand colors and so on. I kind of like this first one. So you could basically copy paste this in Canva. You can go in there and you can edit the text. These are all elements that you can edit. It's not unlike ChatGPT, which will just generate a PNG that you can't touch. Canva generates things in layers, so you can go in and replace this text. So you can grab that, and now you've got your first social media campaign, and you made it in 2 minutes, right? If you're like me, and that's like, it's the worst part of your day would be posting to Instagram, which is why I don't do it. This is going to replace that workflow, at least to get started. when you don't have the budget for a marketing company to help you with this stuff. And the reality is there's a bunch of marketing companies that are just going to turn around and use this these days, right? So at least knowing and understanding what that output looks like. And this is honestly, it's good enough to launch a business, right? When we talk to new business people, we say like anything that gets you to market faster is better. And like we worry too much about quality when we're just starting a business. Now, if you've got an established brand, that's when you go with the marketing person. But if you just need something for a weekend, that's, you know, that's what you would use. Now, for building a website, I'm not going to use. I would typically use something that went straight to the source code, like Lovable AI. It generates source code. But I'm going to use Wix, which, to be super clear, is not the tool I would recommend you use. They do have a really good AI, and it demos really well. So I would normally say, let's use Wix and give it a minute. But I'm just going to show you an existing site, because Wix is going to go and generate an entire site for you, and that takes about 15 minutes, which we don't have time. I should have done it earlier in the talk. So let's see if it takes 15 minutes to load. So the reason we don't recommend Wix is the ability to then build something on top of it is pretty limited. It doesn't give you much in the way of actual access for us technology people to do a better job. We prefer WordPress these days. So let me see if I can find the thing. Now you're seeing where like my skills with Wix are not particularly amazing. But I was looking up the one I was using it for didn't do a good job. And Canva will also generate a website, but it's crap. Don't use Canva for that. It's not where you want it. Wix or WP Engine, Elementor, the Elementor theme in WordPress has good. So this is Tipsy Tales, right? So this is no editing at all. This is my Drunk Pets startup, which is absolutely something I'm going to do. This is the image, the logo it generated for me with the cocktails. It came up with the name. You know, it's got these like lovable and adorable pets, right? It's got to grab this image of what is clearly a drunk cat. And then put it above the drunk dogs, but whatever, right? I can edit this. It gets me started. It's decided that pink is my brand color, which honestly, for my Drunk Pet startup, like pink and yellow, this is something that I'm sure might actually go viral, but maybe not in the way that you want it to go viral, right? So now you've got a website, and you can actually, in Wix and in most of these tools, connect your domain, publish live, and have this available in 15 or 20 minutes, right? So it's going to take me longer to go in and fix the mistakes in the text that it's made and fix the stuff that it's made up than it is going to be to put it online. And now I've got a business, right? And you can do this, you know, most of these tools have plugins for e-commerce and shopping and everything that you need to get your business launched. And again, launch your business, get your stuff out there, make it better afterwards, right? Because if you're not making an income, you're burning through that runway. And if you have a business and you just need to do a better job, and you've been letting your website look like it was built in the 1980s prior, you know, it's like literally a modem sound when you log in. This is better than not having anything, and it'll get you started and give you a basis to get started. If you're like me and you can't start with nothing, like I want to build a website. Well, I can build that technologically, but most people can't. But I don't know what to put on it. And this is going to get my juices flowing and my creativity going, right? So I keep going to the teams. Everyone wants to see teams. So this is another good example of how Canva loves clip art. Look at these weird circles. Why? So the next part of the demo, I would have said, you know, ChatGPT and Canva, but let's skip over that for time because we're running up to time. This was designed because we were supposed to be waiting for the website. So really quick, want to wrap up with some cautionary tales. So AI images are samey, right? So you can get good output, but by default, you've all seen images that were clearly made by AI. They've got that glossy, high color look. So if you put that out on your brand, there are people, smart buyers, who are going to look at that and start decrementing the value of your brand in their head because clearly you used AI clip art. Work with your AI images. The other thing is copyright right now is legally murky. So put it through some of your own processing and editing if you can, because last ruling that I saw was that AI generated art cannot be copyrighted, right? Not all models are built the same. I showed you ChatGPT, which isn't the best thing for creating a business plan, actually. Gemini is, right? So there's three big models to look at. There's ChatGPT, which is great as a generalist. There's Gemini. Think of Gemini as the better coder, the better for structured output. And then you've got Claude. And Claude is the human, empathetic, touchy-feely AI. If any of these robots are touchy-feely. So if you want to generate something that's like empathetic and brand-centric, maybe Claude is a better choice. And all of them, you can get free accounts and play with them. ChatGPT is also the cheapest of the models. Well, Gemini is basically free if you're okay with giving all your data to Google. NDAs and data privacy, make sure you've read the fine print. Even ChatGPT Pro, they won't train on your data, but they don't say they won't use it for quality assurance and so on. So don't paste your customers' NDA material into a public copy of ChatGPT. Come talk to us. We can help you figure out how to do that. These public interfaces, Gemini and so on, not great for client data, not great for PII, not SOC compliant. You can get that stuff out of AI, just you're not going to get it from the web interface. Double check everything, what we call human in the loop. I mean, you saw so many errors just during this presentation, right? It isn't ready to just what we call agentic architecture, where you have a AI employee that just goes and replaces your marketing department, and it's just posting stuff to social media, and you're like, yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna go out and do my stuff. Well, 2 days later, it's started a war in France, and you're like, what is happening, right? So you need a human in the loop. Make sure you have a human reviewing it. The other thing about AI is be very careful with the analysis of what it produces, because it lies so well, especially as you start to get into detail. Like we write about 40% of our code with Cursor, which is an AI specifically designed for AI, for coding. It writes errors that no junior engineer would ever even see. It takes an extremely senior person to identify the errors, because it is very good at writing bugs, and those bugs are very hard to see, right? So it's eating that lower end, but it's not replacing senior engineers, senior marketers, or so on, because you need people to go in and call it on its bullshit, right? Basically, it's great for helping reason ideate. Automation requires more work. Again, if you're setting up something like a N8N workflow or using Zapier and you're doing your email, have it save as drafts versus send the email. So you can go in and review it, right? If you're setting up something more complex like a workflow for your sales team, you want to have an AI that's custom trained to deliver the results, and that has quality assurance that proves it can provably demonstrate those results, because AIs are statistical models. And we've moved something that used to be a human generated double check thing into a statistical model. It's going to make slightly less mistakes than your average worker, but because it's statistics, it's never going to get up to 100% accurate. It's always going to have some inference that doesn't quite match what you want it to do. It's always going to be capable of that. And our goal as computer people is to narrow that window down so that it is better than what you had before, but you still need a human to basically go in and tell you, hey, it's crap, don't use that, it's going to start a war in France, etc. Right? All right. QR code, we're going to be doing workshops here. Let us know what you want to see a workshop on. This was very high level. Typically, when we're talking to businesses, we're either building something for their technology or we're building something for their workforce. So our workshops will be far more in depth than just a prompt engineering course, but I had 40 minutes, so I thought this would be fun and interactive.
All right, that was awesome. So who's got some questions for Dustin? I have a bunch of questions, but I don't want to take them away from anybody. So Ilana, I'm coming your way. Here, I'm going to hand it to you. But it like not as.
Okay. Business transaction attorney. So of course I've got a very legal slanted question for you. Can you get AI to search the availability of your name that you select and the likelihood that the trademark can be successfully applied for with your logo and your name that you select?
I wouldn't rely on it by default. Yes, with a technologist, you can get that working. But by default, it's just going to do a super generic search, and it's not going to get you what you need. Now, if you had a custom AI and use, say, USPTO as a data source, you absolutely could get it, but you'd still want a human in the loop to determine, okay, we have this search, we're going to click this button and verify that it properly interpreted the data. So pretty much anything you would put a recent new hire college grad on, go do the research and bring it to me, and then I'm going to decide. That's how to think about AI right now. And then if you wanted to tune it, yes, you could absolutely build a system that was much better at that, but that would be a real software project.
So when you build your website, how do you ensure that those images that it's pulling and utilizing for your website are not copyrighted?
They're generated from scratch. Yeah, so it made that cat up. That cat doesn't exist. The other thing is Canva has a library of copyrighted images that they can use as clip art that they'll recommend. So it really depends on the tool, but by default, it will just make it up. The thing to be aware of is if it looks like something out there, because it will, right? Because that's how it works. You want to make sure that it's you can reasonably argue that you didn't go and copy someone's image. So having, for instance, an audit trail for, hey, this is what the images I use. No one's going to go to Tipsy Tales and sue them for using drunk cat, right? But if you've got a law firm, for example, I wouldn't crowdsource the logo without doing some work on competitive analysis on what other logos do law firms in the space use, just to make sure, you know, like Adidas is well known for suing anyone that uses 3 stripes in anything, right? In a similar basis, I would go and vet. I'll do a little bit before I put it on the website. Mostly with the clip art images and the photos and stuff, you don't have to worry too much, because yeah, it just pulls them together. It's like, how is that so fast? It must be stealing. No, it's just completely making shit up, which is sometimes worse, right? You count the number of fingers on people's hands. It's gotten very good at fingers because people are have complained. But look at Tipsy Tales, like the dogs had the wrong number of toes when we generated them. So,
Anyone else? Couple more. Brian is setting up here for the next session. So,
oh, I should stop sharing.
here we go.
Did I stop sharing? Did they take it away from me?
At what point do you think someone should pay for Chat GPT and or Canva? Because there's a lot you can do with the unpaid.
Immediately, absolutely immediately. I would pay for it before I used it for any professional work. Partially because the public will train on your data, and you can't really get it to not do that. So anything you put into the free version, it will train on. That's a big part of it. And the other thing is all of them, their light versions have huge limitations on output capabilities, context windows, performance. They're toys, right? For $20 a month, you can get away from, I say it's worth paying for day one. I think every business, and I don't get paid for saying this, every business should have a subscription to all 3 of them.
To all 3.
Yeah.
And by that you mean the Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you have to pick one, do OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, hey, Maddie. Sorry.
Alrighty, I've got a little bit more of like a AI societal question.
Excellent.
So you had mentioned where a lot of AI is like, hey, it's what a new college grad can do. Curious your thoughts on the impact of AI to entry-level positions. I think we're already seeing a decline, like for computer science students or computer engineering students, where they're having difficulty getting those entry-level jobs because ChatGPT can do a lot of it, or they have these automated things that do it. So how do we ensure that entry-level positions still exist in this world where we do need some of that monitoring and supervising at the senior level, but if we can't get the talent in the door, like how do we manage that?
Yeah, it's a very real problem. We do not need junior engineers at Modern Logic anymore, period. We just don't. They produce more bugs than Cursor. They work slower and they take more time from our team. And we're a small team. Hiring a junior engineer at this point is a liability. But I need senior engineers. And there's kind of a pipeline there where like you don't get senior engineers without junior engineers. So we need a major investment on a societal level in education, re-education. It needs to be a public-private partnership between government, university, and education and us businesses, because without that, the current process for graduating from school, finding work in knowledge sector, it's gone. And it's like, it's gone today. And it's going to be like dinosaur level in a year or two. This is not something that's happening slowly, right? This is the fastest societal change in human history. And the other thing is we can't stop it, right? And so I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that it's not just, if we rely on just capitalism to solve that problem, we're all out here making money. We're not going to go and hire junior engineers out of the kindness of our heart, right?
All right. I think
wish I had a
we're
better
going to transition here to Brian. Dustin, thank you very much. We're going to bring you back up here in case we have any more questions at the end. But that was fantastic.
Nice job, dude. Good luck. If I keep this,
I have a million questions just about like, how, can you build financial models, all that other stuff. I think we could go 9 ways to Sunday on that. I do have one question for Josh. Josh, what do you think? Would you invest in that company? Control Alt Delete. And what about the pitch deck? You saw the pitch deck. Come on, man. All right. All right. Well, Josh can do it. All right. So yeah, let's just stand up here real quick and just kind of stretch out. We got halfway through it. So our next one up here is Brian Johnson.
I'm glad I got to include
Brian
details, actually, because I thought that was
well, you don't have to go away. You just stand up. Brian Johnson and I met about 6 years ago, and just met, right? Just like a couple guys meeting. And what I loved about his style was his personality. He hosts a podcast. You know, he's passionate about security assessments, penetration testing, and the things that you're going to see today. He's a specific certified partner of Loffler's, which is a huge reason why he's here. But you know, he hosts the podcast on this topic. He's a musician. He loves to perform. So I'm like, what the hell? Why not just get this guy up here? Well, then I start to understand his thought process and the way that he approaches this. And I'm like, you're a double threat. Like, not only do you have a good personality, you're a genius. So I'm excited to welcome Brian to share some aspects of cybersecurity. So when we surveyed our members in September, these were the two topics that came up most of all the topics were AI and cybersecurity. So that's why we're double dipping here. So taking a little bit of a different approach. I think the last one was a little bit more future focused. I think this one's a little bit more security focused. So just kind of protecting yourself. So Brian, I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. How's the sound out there? Is everybody able to hear me okay in the back? Sound all right? Okay. I hope everybody wasn't leaving because I was coming up, because it looked like that, and it felt like that. I
hope not. They're gonna make it
scared them
over there.
Yeah. Well, good morning. I'm so excited to be with you because I don't want to brag, but I do think I have probably the most fun job in the world. In that I get up and all day, every day, all I'm doing is hacking people's computers and their networks and their people, like trying to talk you out of your password or your social security number or your credit card, right? It's a lot of fun. I get paid for it. And if I get caught anywhere along the way, I don't go to prison, which is kind of neat. That's kind of fun. But what I especially like is opportunities like this to give you all a little peek behind the hacker curtain and show you some of these shisty things we do that don't take a lot of time and don't take a lot of money, but they get us into people's email accounts and they get us into their sensitive data. And my goal would be for you, I would feel it's a good use of our time this morning if you walk away going, okay, we got a little bit nerdy there, but I understand what he was talking about. I've got a little punch list now of things that I'm going to go check back at the network, or I'm going to task my IT and security people with checking those things so that you can be more secure than the next company down the street or your next internet neighbor, right? I'm with 7 Minute Security. We're just down the street in Shakopee. We're kind of by the old Shutterfly building, if by chance you know where that is. And like I said, most of our work is around hacking things. I also do a weekly podcast of the same name. So if you enjoy what we talk about today, you will probably like that as well. But don't let the name fool you. The episodes are much longer than 7 minutes now. So When you see the runtime of 38 minutes, don't be mad. Just know that there's a lot to talk about in the world of security. And also, I just have to mention, because even right now, I'm just getting sort of this awkward vibe. A lot of you are looking at me and you're like, I know that guy from somewhere. Is it like the Barbie movie? He's very handsome, obviously. Like, what is it? I can't put my finger on it. Well, if you said, oh my God, is that Christmas Caroler #6 from Jingle All the Way in 1996? It's me. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I usually don't mix meet and greets with security presentations, but I'm willing to make an exception. How many of you have seen that? It's kind of hard to avoid. Yeah. TBS, I think, does like a Jingle All the Way marathon around the end of November. But just to show you the big scene that we're in, it's when Arnold breaks into Phil Hartman's house to steal the Turbo Man doll. And for some reason, he gets in a fight with a reindeer and he uppercuts a reindeer, and stuff is catching on fire. And the scene culminates with Arnold kicking a flaming statue head out of the window and to some unsuspecting Christmas carolers. And so the young lady disappearing off frame to the left, that's my high school girlfriend and now wife. And then obviously up here doing some Ryan Gosling level acting is me. Now, this is also awkward, but I'm just gonna say this. I've got a palette of VHS copies of Jingle All the Way that I would love to part with. We've got a 2 for free special happening in the parking lot immediately following this presentation. I'll sign them in Sharpie or whatever you want. But on a semi-serious note, and then I promise we'll talk about security right after this, I do have to tell you that that was 96, and now we're what, almost 30 years later. We're still pulling down royalty checks for that bad boy. So the last one, and I don't want the jealousy to seep in too hard with you right now, but there we go. If you can read that, it's $13, but $13 times 2, right? With the wife, I married a caroler, so that's enough to get, half a dozen buffalo wings at Buffalo Wild Wings these days. So until the movie career takes off, I'm gonna stick with talking about security. And I wanna kick things off by showing you how to hack a company. Loffler and Coalition 9 did not volunteer for this exercise, so I'm gonna sacrifice my own company. We're gonna hack 7-minute security. We're gonna do it for about $7, and we're gonna spend about 7 minutes doing this. So I wanna just put you in the mindset of a company that comes to us and says, hey, we wanna see if you can get into our stuff, get into our email, get into our sensitive data. The sad thing, if you're not already aware of this, but many sites, many internet sites have been hacked, and the usernames and passwords are out there. So if you've used LinkedIn, if you've used Canva, if you've used any of those big sites, likely the username and the password you used is out there. And the bad guys and gals know this. So one of the things they'll do is they'll buy up sets of these usernames and passwords, and they'll try to log into your stuff with that information. One such site that you can grab this information on is called Dehashed. And I feel like this is kind of a gray hat site. And by that, I mean, they're like, hey, we're gonna vacuum up all this data and we're gonna make it available to you, because they even say right on the site, people should not have to pay to feel safe on the internet. And because of that, we offer one of our payment plans. So I don't love that, but at the same time, I go, man, if I'm a bad guy, if I'm gonna spend about $7 for a week of access to the site, and I can search your company and my company and everyone in this room, that's like $7 pretty well spent, right? So you plop down your credit card, you get your access to the site, and if you were to search my company, you might find something like this. This is just a little spreadsheet of where my credential was stolen from, my email addresses, and potential passwords. So again, this cost me $7 in a few minutes so far. And all I'm gonna do, this is gonna sound simple, but I'm just gonna write a little script, or maybe I'll use AI to do it. And all it's going to do is try to log into every one of those accounts and maybe wait about 5 minutes in between tries, because I don't want to like lock out your accounts. I don't want your tech people to go, whoa, somebody's trying to get into our stuff, sound the alarms. I just want to low and slow do this login attempt. So it looks something like this. It's a little script that I write, and then I just go off and have lunch somewhere while this thing slowly tries to log in to all of your accounts. So the first one we did not have a good password for, but this second one went green. And I don't know if you can read it, but it says that the password was good, but MFA required. And can anybody just say out loud what MFA is? Yeah, multi-factor authentication. And multi-factor authentication is designed to stop this, right? So if I guess your username and your password, and I go to log in, but I don't have your phone that has that other code, I should be good, right? So some of you might see this and go, I don't care what you're saying right now. I'm all set. I've got multi-factor authentication. My company's good, right? Maybe. I want to say something, and I want to say it as respectfully as I can, because I know we've got a lot of leaders in the room. We got a lot of business owners in the room. So please take what I say as gently as you can possibly take it. But sometimes from a security standpoint, you're a little bit difficult to deal with because we'll say, hey, we'd like to do some good security thing here at our company. And then you'll go, well, yeah, this multi-factor thing is cool, but when I'm on my lake in Brainerd on a fishing trip, the text messages don't come through. So I don't want to have to get a code to log into email. I just want to type in username, password, and be in. And so we go grumble, 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 creative, colorful language, and then we go, okay, we'll make an exception for the CEO. If he's logging in on his iDevice, like his iPhone, then we won't make him get that second code, okay? This happens more often than not, and the bad guys know this, right? So what I'm gonna do, if I see this on my screen, like the password's good, but I got blocked, I'm gonna do this little trick right in my Chrome browser where I'm gonna tell Microsoft's login webpage that I'm actually an iDevice. I'm an iPhone, so that it thinks I'm logging in from the lake in Brainerd on the CEO's iPhone, right? That's not hard. It's built right into Chrome. Back to my username and password box. I'll punch in the password that I got from Dhashed, right? And it's really small on your screen, but I'm faking out Microsoft and saying, I'm actually coming from an iPhone. And then, boom, I'm in. Business email compromise, achievement unlocked, right? So if I'm a bad guy, now I get to the really nasty stuff, where I just sit in your email for a while and I learn about who your partners are, who your customers are, what kind of sensitive data you're working with. I start sending copies of certain things to my alternate email address. I start filtering messages so that if you're getting an email from a contractor, it just files away to a folder that you'll never see. And my end game could be something like, I want you to do a fraudulent wire transfer, right? Or I want you to pay a contractor that's me and not really your actual contractor. So sometimes it's that quick. And the lesson learned here for this particular part is I would make the case, I would argue with you gently but firmly to have that multi-factor turned on all the stuff in your life without exception, because I think the security risk is just too great for me to end up here deep into your personal and business life. Okay, so maybe you go, okay, Brian, we're all set. We got multi-factor 8 ways to Sunday, no exceptions, none of the time. Now what? All right, well, what I'm gonna probably do is move closer to you, like literally closer to you. If the company is within driving distance, I'm gonna see if I can't hack your Wi-Fi. Now, if you brought your like propeller hat and like pocket protector, I do want to get a little bit nerdy with you, so please don't like, do the eye roll thing, because I want you to appreciate how simple and sort of fun this can be. So maybe after this presentation, you go back to the office and you open up your laptop, and in just a couple seconds, a few things are going to happen. your computer is going to say, hey, corporate Wi-Fi network, where are you? And that router is going to say, hey, I'm right here. Let's connect. Let's get you on the Wi-Fi. And then in just a blink of an eye, those two systems exchange what is literally called a handshake, okay? And scrambled up somewhere inside there is the actual password that you give your employees to get on the Wi-Fi. But it's encrypted, I put up there, right? So what's the risk? What's the threat? The threat is if I come out to this parking lot or if I drive up to the curb next to your business and I'm in range of that wireless network, I can also grab a copy of that handshake for myself and then just drive on home to try to decrypt that and figure out what your Wi-Fi password is. It just takes a couple of seconds, and I figure it would just be kind of fun to show you. The tools are real, but the wireless networks are fake. So I don't want Loffler to freak out because they're in this, but they're not really in this, okay? So I come on site and I turn on my Wi-Fi recon module. And again, I'm just out in the parking lot. I'm having a McDonald's breakfast burrito while I wait for this to finish. And we can see we got Loffler Secure Network. We got Jingle All the Wi-Fi. That's mine, so we're going to leave that alone. But there we go. There's your corporate Wi-Fi, okay? So I'm going to set my sights on that and see if I can't hack it. So there's corporate Wi-Fi, and what I've highlighted there is it says one client is connected. So all that means is that somebody's laptop or somebody's desktop is on the Wi-Fi and doing business, right? So with one command, I can create some real havoc. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell your wireless router, would you just boot everybody off for just a quick second? Just kick everybody off wireless so that when they reconnect, they do the handshake, right? And I can see that and I grab a copy of it. So we'll see how long this takes, okay? This command is my kick command. Kick everybody off. So we'll time it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go, about 9 seconds. And I've got that little handshake. And what's important, I think, for you to know is now really the hard part of the hacking is done. I drive home now. I'm gone out of this parking lot. I go home and I've got to try to figure out, well, what is the password? It's encrypted, so how do I guess it? That's what I do. I just guess a bunch of times what the password might be. And to do that, I just download a huge word list from the internet for free. This particular list has 8 billion words and phrases that they know people love to use for their passwords. So all I'm going to do is load that up at home, and I'm going to set my computer against that handshake. So it's just going to say, is the password password? No. Is it password 1? No. But it's going to do that billions of times. And usually a question we get about this is like, is it really worth it? Isn't it going to take a long time to get through 8 billion words and phrases? But it's not. In fact, if you can see on the screen, it's going to take about 48 minutes. And I'm not doing anything, right? I'm playing PlayStation, just looking over to see if we got the password. So what I'm hoping happens then at the end of that 48 minutes is I check my little treasure file to see all the passwords that I've ever received. And we zoom in here, we've got the Wi-Fi password, December 2022. Now I heard a couple people chuckle, and I think it's important to point out that often people say, okay, Brian, in this day and age, are people really using season plus year as their password? And I give you an enthusiastic yes. yes, they are. In fact, I think it would probably make sense to tell you about, you know, that James Taylor song, winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call and I'll be there because you got a friend. There's kind of a hacker version of that is winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you gotta do is use season plus year as your password, and attackers will try to use it. And I absolutely will, because I know people love that password. It's easy to remember. What season am I in? Oh yeah, I got it. If you want to kind of health check this for yourself right now on your phone, I invite you to check out this have I been pwned site. Just show of hands. Has anybody used this before? Okay, a few people. Okay, awesome. So this is, a researcher has put this site together. He basically vacuums up anytime there's a breach that involves our email addresses and passwords. He puts it in a database that you can use to search and see how many breaches you have been involved in. So at last check for me, I was at about 22. What's nice is that you can click into each individual breach and you can learn more about it, kind of what it, where it happened and what the bad guys and gals got to. So the last alert I got was from February, and you know, the bad people got my password, which is really dangerous, right? Because if I use my password on that breach site, but I also use it for social media, my corporate network, my work email, I could be in really, really big trouble. So what I hear a lot of people say is, oh, Brian, I was involved in a breach, but it's some shopping site that I never use anymore. So I don't really care about it. But again, knowing the psychology of most people, they'll use that same password on sites that they absolutely do care about, right? Social media, banking, the cable bill, retirement, benefits. So they can make your life real difficult real quick. In fact, just anecdotally, this situation on the slide was my wife last year. She used one bad password for everything because she thinks I'm a nut, which I am, but sometimes I have good advice. And they got into her Facebook account. And I just want to warn all of you who have personal and or work Facebook accounts. If those get compromised, you might think, hey, this is a multi-billion-dollar company. Can I just call 1-800-Zuckerberg and get somebody to help me gain control of my account? You cannot, actually. So being the way I'm wired, I filed with the Shakopee police. I put an internet crime report in with the FBI. And finally, what actually got me help was filing with the Attorney General of Minnesota. About 60 days later, 60 days later, they helped facilitate getting control of the account back to my wife. Now, she didn't care because it's just vacation photos and, you know, beach and that kind of thing. But if it's your personal account and that's also linked to your work account, you can essentially scream into the void because the bad guys can put up inappropriate content. They can post that you support some religious or political action that you don't, and your hands are tied. So my plea to you overall through this whole presentation is to use a unique and really strong password for everything that you do online, so that if some site you don't give a rip about gets compromised, bad guys can't take that password and then just log into everything else in your life, right? My favorite feature, I think, about have I been pwned, and I see some of you have looked and I've saw some big eyes pop up, but you can use it as a proactive notification service as well. So punch in your email address, and if somebody gets hacked this afternoon, you'll get notice right away. The last one I was involved in was Park Mobile. Does anybody use that app? Helps you find parking spaces around the Twin Cities. Well, I learned from Have I Been Pwned that they got owned. I didn't, Park Mobile never told me, but this site did, which was really nice. And boy, did the baddies get away with a lot of information for this one. Email addresses, license plates, names, passwords, phone number. Ouch, 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 right? But the question about this is usually, well, what do I do if I get this notification? Hopefully, you'll have taken the advice I was just trying to give. You've got a unique password for everything in your life, right? So if Park Mobile gets breached, oh, that stinks. I'll log in and I'll change that password, but it didn't interrupt my entire life, and I got to spend my whole weekend trying to unlock my accounts and get control of them, right? All right, I want to show you just a couple more hacky tricks. Where we've been so far, right, is I try to get into your email accounts. That didn't work because you had multi-factor, you had all the good passwords. Try to get in your wireless, I failed there. Now I'm gonna try to move really, really, really close to you. I might try to come into your office space. I might come in dressed as the Comcast service person, the Xcel Energy guy, right? And try to sweet talk your front desk people into either letting me into the server room or just letting me go back where the cubes and the people and the unattended computers are. And what I'm going to bring with me is this little $100 toy called a Bash Bunny. Just by chance, has anybody ever heard of a Bash Bunny? No. Okay. So this looks like just a harmless little USB drive that you would copy files to, right? But it's very keyboard in so you can type stuff, right? So what I can do with this thing is I can have it sort of ready to detonate. I plug it into an unattended machine. It'll wait for 3 seconds and then type whatever I want it to type real quick. I'll show you what this looks like so maybe you can appreciate the risk here. So I'm walking through your office, right? I've got my Comcast gear on and I see Bob from accounting. Here's his unattended machine, right? He's gone off to a meeting. I grab my Bash Bunny, I come over, stick it into Bob's computer, and just watch what happens in, let's see, how long this takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably blink and you miss it, right? Something ran, a window popped up, and then I take that drive and I'm out the door. So what did I get in just that 10 seconds of time? When I get back home, I've got this folder full of files. What these are names of every wireless network that Bob from accounting has ever connected to, home, hotel, customers, corporate Wi-Fi. It's not only the names, but it is the actual in the clear password for all of those wireless networks. So even if you've got a crazy strong wireless password, right? I just came by and for the cost of a fake Comcast shirt, I grabbed that, I stole it. Now what I do, I go back to your parking lot, I get another breakfast burrito, I join your wireless, and now I start the real fun, right? I start the actual hacking, trying to get your sensitive data, trying to get into people's email accounts, all from the comfort of my vehicle. And that's one of the last things I wanted to show you here is kind of once we're inside, I wanted to give you a little peek into what we do to get right to the heart of the crown jewels of the organization. So I've got loaded up here. This is obviously character names from Jingle All the Way. I don't think I need to tell anybody that, but H. Langston, you know, that's Howard, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. What I'm gonna try to do is I'm knowing that people love to use season plus year as their password. I'm gonna try to log into every one of those employees just one time using a password that I know people love to use, which is various combinations of season plus year. So my script will just try to authenticate to every person one time with winter 2025. And at the very end of the list, yeah, that's Arnold's character Howard. Doggone it. He's future thinking at least, right? He's winter 2025, not winter 2024. But now that I've got an account to do something with, I want to show you the kind of the final trick here, which is currently my favorite hacking thing to do. And that is to just act like a sort of a digital dumpster diving raccoon in your environment. You don't even really need to know what this command is, but suffice to say, it connects to every file share, everywhere you have corporate data saved. This tool goes out, looks at all those files, and it tells me, are there files that look interesting by their name, like passwords.doc, passwords.txt, right? Passwords.pdf. Anything it deems interesting, it pulls down a copy for me. But not only that, any file that it can read, it actually opens it and kind of AI reads through it and it'll say, actually, Brian, this looks like a password as well. Let's take a copy of it. So I set this off in a company, and again, I walk away. I go do whatever I want for hours or days. And when I come back, it looks something like this. I have a folder full of files that this tool has deemed interesting. It looks like it pulled some files out of an IT folder, which looks juicy. And if I pop that script open, there's a script here for production backup. And if I take a look at it, it is a account that is used to back up all the corporate data. And not only that, bring it offsite for a safe copy there, right? But unfortunately, that was left, the password for that was left right in a text file. And again, I just want to stress, like, this was not a real customer environment, number one. I want to stress that. But this is something we see a ton of. It's not like once in a while. It's on every engagement. People's passwords and sensitive data are just sprawled and sitting all over the environment. And if I'm a ransomware actor, right? If I'm somebody who wants to get in your company and then steal and kind of encrypt up all the data, this is a nightmare situation, right? Because what I can do is go to your offsite backups, delete those or encrypt those, right? And then take the active copy that you're working with and also encrypt it. And then, you know, really your hands are tied. It's a tough spot to get out of when you're at this point. All right, so now that I've probably terrified some of you, I saw some concerned looks. I just want to revisit just a couple things that are so going to help you be more secure than the next company down the street. I mentioned it a few times, but I'm going to mention it again. Having a really great password, and in fact, I'm trying to teach companies these days to use passphrases. So like 3 or 4 words put together that are easy for you to remember, but tough for bad guys to guess. So rather than winter 2025, right? How about we jingle all the way, right? That ends up actually being a very long password. It's not likely to be on those lists that I try when I'm trying to get into your accounts. And then again, to put that multi-factor authentication on everything in your life that supports it. Microsoft tells us that peanut butter and jelly combination of those two things makes our accounts 99% less likely to get compromised. So I can't encourage that enough. I mentioned at the very beginning this dehashed site, kind of a gray hat site, but for $7, you could do a quick search on your company and go, hey, do we have people who are using bad passwords? Maybe what you find in that list are not work passwords that actually work, but it's kind of a nice service to offer to your employees where you go, hey, Bob from accounting, we found winter 2024 in this breach. Do you use this anywhere else in your online life? Because if so, bad people know about it. And then it's kind of a teaching opportunity, right? To give Bob better passwords. And then have I been pwned? I think I saw some of you check that out. Might have been an enlightening exercise. And then just final thing I'll say, I don't want to sound like a salesperson, but I love this ethical hacking, penetration testing exercises. And I don't know if Randy Anderson from Loffler is in the building. He's back there somewhere. Hey Randy. So we partner with Randy and his team to do these exercises, and we make it a real collaborative experience so that you kind of know what we're finding as we find it. And we take deep pride in making it a good experience, not I can't believe you used winter 2024 as your password. None of that nonsense. And Randy's team also has a very mature virtual chief information security officer service. So if you need extra help with your security program, ethical hacking, whatever it may be, he and we would love to talk to you.
All right.
At that point, yeah, I'll take questions.
Any
comments,
questions?
concerns?
I have questions. I have more questions. All right, Jake.
First off, thanks for sharing. Very enlightening. So, like, if the recommendation is to have like a different password for each system, do you recommend a password manager, like a LastPass or something like that, or how can we keep track of all those in a safe way?
Question. So the question was about, okay, if we're recommending you have a different password on everything you use in your life, that ends up being a ton of passwords to remember. So yes, there are. I mean, you could go my parents' way, which is you just keep a notepad next to the computer with all the passwords. Your risk there would be burglary and fire and tornadoes, right? But I see most corporations going to a password vault or a password wallet of some sort where they keep those credentials And all you need to remember is then one master password. So the idea being, if I'm going to go log into Instagram in my browser, this password wallet actually pops open and says, hey, I remember the password to this. I'll just fill it in for you. And the password could be, 60 characters long. I don't need to remember that. I just need to remember the one big password that gets me into all of the passwords. So yeah, and there's kind of a couple of the leading brands on that are 1Password, LastPass, Bitwarden. Those are all pretty tried and true ones that a lot of our customers use. Yeah, thanks. Good question.
Anyone else? Oh, hey, Steven.
Thanks. This is great. Can you talk 2 questions about, number 1, passkeys and social engineering, and how both of those factor into the type of vulnerabilities you shared?
Oh, that's a great one. So you're asking about passkeys, like the little when you go to log into like your 365 email, you can do username, password, and then you can either get like a text message, you could get an app code on your phone, or these little passkeys that are like a little hardware token that you slide in. Those are great. I have not seen a lot of adoption in that, simply because people lose them and then they're out on the boat in Brainerd, right? And they're like, oh, where's my key? Those I'm seeing pushed really hard on like financial sites, and they're a little bit more secure because it's harder for me to social engineer a key out of your hand, whereas I could maybe call you and say, can you open up your app and tell me what code is on your phone? So it does, I think, help deter social engineering attempts more. But I feel like what users have told me is they're like, these are kind of a pain. I don't love them. I'd rather just get the text message or the code. Oh, okay. It's a question about, fingerprint and biometrics. I think that's great. As a matter of fact, because someone asked this at a talk last week, they were asking about phone security and saying, how do I make the phone more secure? What I like to tell people is, in any of your apps, whether it be Dropbox or your Office app, whatever, add the turn on Face ID for that part as well. Because I have had clients who, honestly, they're walking down the street with their unlocked phone, and maybe you've seen videos of that on the internet where someone will kind of push them or get them to stumble, another person will grab the phone and run. So they've got an unlocked phone that they're running away with. But if you go into each of your apps and turn on biometric, presumably that would make it a little harder for them to really dig into your data, because if they hit Microsoft 365, boom, they would be asking for a face again. So yeah, I'm for it, and just layering that on, right, as much as possible.
Any more? One more?
Yeah,
Susan, sorry.
No worries.
Hi.
Although it's easy to like sit in your car and eat a burrito and look up all this information, I'm interested in kind of the success rate of these folks actually making money or being successful or completing their goals with stealing information, right? Is this something that's quite lucrative for them, so it's worth eating 15 burritos in your car a day, or is it, they kind of do it as a hobby thing?
Yeah. Oh man. So the question was around like, how successful are campaigns that start and look like this, and does it feed the burrito diet? It absolutely does. One of the things that these people are really good at, when we go back to the example of, I got inside your email and now I'm just learning about your company, they're really smart about reading all the information, looking at the files on the file share, and understanding what your books look like. How much money are you making? And then if I get to the point where I can encrypt and lock up all your data, I'm going to charge you enough so that it hurts, but it doesn't put you out of business, right? So that you're sitting there going, we could be down for 4 to 5 weeks, or we pay this amount that's going to sting, but we're back in business tomorrow. So yeah, the question I usually get asked is, if you didn't have a conscience and you never got caught, how much money could you make? And I would just say unlimited. It's a super lucrative business. So again, that's why I think having an exercise done like that with someone ethical who's going to paint that story for you and be like, you could put up roadblocks here and here and here and here so that you are, I think it's a good place to be secure enough that the average attacker is going to be like, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go somewhere where the passwords are winter 2024 and pick on them, right?
All right, let's give Dustin, you want to come on up here real quick? And does anybody have any questions for both of them? I think one question, yes, thank you very much. You know what? I feel like there's going to be depth to this, but I think for both of you, what role do you see AI playing in cybersecurity?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So in cybersecurity, I think, like any industry, I'm honestly scared every morning that I'll wake up and somebody will have, Dropbox now offers penetration testing as a service for $9 a month, and just click here and we'll hack all your stuff and we'll fix it for you. But the more I work with AI, the more I feel it's not there yet. So but I think where from a risk standpoint, the bad attackers are getting very good at using AI. And like I was telling Dustin yesterday, I don't know how to code anything, but I can ask ChatGPT or something else, write me a code that exploits this server, and it'll take a pretty decent stab at it and have a pretty high success rate. So I worry that then that's only going to get quicker and smarter over time, so that we have to be even more on top of like patching our things, right, and keeping everything up to date.
Yeah, I think absolutely. The fact that we can auto-generate programs that target your specific infrastructure used to take us weeks, or at least you're configuring something that, like the tools he showed, and it takes a real human. Now it can be done automatically. So the thing is, the cost of that is so low that I can try 100 or 1,000 different attacks on you. I can have an AI that goes and reads your website, and instead of coming up with a common list of 8 billion passwords, understands who you are and says, these are the passwords he's likely to use, or moreover, these are the businesses he's likely to associate with that I can impersonate. Now I'm going to email the contact form pretending to be that business. I'm going to wait till I get a response, and I'm going to build a business relationship. And by the way, that is all a computer doing that. You don't, and I, the human, get notified. Yeah, this CEO wants to engage my services for this $1,000 thing. And he's nibbled, he's bit, you should look. And it's doing that across 100 million businesses, every business in the planet, basically instantly. We're not there yet, but we'll be there within 2 or 3 years, right? So the analogy I've been using is like the internet is think of it as a sea of acid, right? You have to plan two ways. You need to make sure that your boat is well sealed, but you're going to get acid into your boat. The other side of the planning, and I'm sure Loffler can probably help, is what do we do when we get compromised? Because it is not an if, it is a when. And you should have a plan for that. Because in the next 3 to 5 years, the likelihood that your small business is compromised by one of these things, if it isn't already, is very high, no matter how many people you bring in. And if you're not bringing anyone in, it's, I would say 90, 95, 100%, right? Because the cost of doing business for these hackers has been low already, and it is about to become free, basically. Not to scare you too much.
Right. So let's give these guys a round of applause. So at the fear of this being a fear-based thing, at the end of the day, like, would you rather go into it ignorance is bliss, or would you rather have some knowledge about how people are approaching it? So that to me is the biggest thing about having these two guys up here, is bring the pros, have them humanize it, bring their good personalities, jingle all the way. Good. That was awesome.
Nobody asked if there's going to be a threequel.
So there's going to be a van out front with Brian's Jingle All the Way videos. So I'll have you guys step down, but thank you very much. I really appreciate everything that you've done for us and your genius that you bring to this event. I'm going to wrap up with a couple things here. First of all, I want to thank our event partners. Again, Steven and Open Door, Brandon over at Layer 8 Solutions. If you're small, we talked a lot about Loffler. Brandon and Layer 8 does a lot of the same things for smaller businesses. So if you're a smaller business and you don't really qualify for the size that Loffler likes to work with, Brandon's a great partner to work with. So I think talking to him about some of this stuff as well would be really advantageous for you. I also want to thank our event supporters, Lakeside HR, Aaron, thank you so much. Again, Dustin and Brian, and then Heather. You know, look at this, Heather, insane. So this is one of those events that I knew the content was going to be so kind of deep, and and I knew that there's going to be some detail there that you weren't going to be able to see, especially up in the nosebleeds. So I wanted to be able to have Heather capture it like she always does, and then we will post this to YouTube as well. So if you saw, we've got Jensen Studios, that's our recording partner. We're gonna have the slide decks, the recording, and things like that. We'll integrate it in. So so that will be an aspect that you can use. Heather, talk a little bit about the way that you handled this.
Hi. All right. Thank you to Dustin and Brian, and thank you, Aaron, for having the graphic recording here. So I was demonstrating human understanding. Who understands everything that was said today? All right. Awesome. I see you. So what I was doing, I was deeply listening and capturing the key ideas. So everything from Dustin talking about, using ChatGPT, to the Canva AI, Wix, and WordPress to create your new business. I've captured that with some of those key ideas, and prompts that you can use. And then also Brian's fabulous way of keeping us safe. So in the pink, when you come and visit it, the pink is like the action items that you can do to protect yourself, and the dark blue is what to be aware of. So in my experience of doing this for 20 years, this helps people to remember information better, and it also helps people to make decisions 60% faster when it's in a strategy session or an innovation session and such. If that's something that can be helpful, come talk to me.
Awesome. Very well done. Thank you very much. All right, as we wrap up here, I also want to thank our community supporters again. Thank you so much for supporting us. Again, they've got some promotional products. If you see a name tag with community supporter on there, just say thank you. They're helping make this a reality along with our members. So thank you to all of our community supporters, evolving, thriving, and prospering levels. I got to thank the Loffler team. It seems like it's kind of a quiet day in Loffler, so you guys were smart because I had the mic too close to my face before, so sorry for blowing out your eardrums. But thank you to the Loffler team, especially the event team. Stacy, she was unable to be here, so Jody's helping her. You guys crushed it. Thank you so much. Martin, Aaron, we share the same name. Love that dude. I want to thank Emily and Brenda on the C9 team. Let's give them a round of applause as well. I sleep good because Emily doesn't, right? Well, I slept good last night because we have you. And so Emily and Brent are crucial parts of our team that make all these things a reality. So thank you so much to both of them. Some things that we've got coming up in the future. We've got 2 more events coming up this summer. We've got a July walk and talk. So that's on July 31st. That's at Westwood Hills in St. Louis Park. It's exactly what it is. I just met Robert out there. We went for a walk. We walked around there twice. It's a half-an-hour piece. We're going to partner you up with some people that you've never met before. Go for a walk and meet some new friends, do some mobile networking. We do that every year. So that's this year. We're going to do a little on the west side. And then August 20th is the Saints game. So everybody that has been a part of C9 for a little bit knows that the Saints game is probably one of our biggest keystone events. So make sure that that you attend that event as well. And then everything else is on our event calendar. So coalition9.com/events. That's subscribable. You can add it to your calendar and keep an eye on things. We got a lot of good things planned for the rest of the year. And Emily and I are going to start planning our event schedule for 2026 in September, October, and have that ready to go for November. So we got some really cool things planned up for that. The last couple of things I just want to mention is if you're interested in joining C9 and you're not a member, we've got a few openings in some groups, and we're going to be opening up a new group here this fall. So approach me or one of our team members or another member and just talk about it. So we do have some openings, so we would love to have you join C9 if this is your jam. And then our C9 Gives Foundation. We had our launch last month. That was our big event there, and that was always something about about the growth of C9 needed to have philanthropy to it. And in my vision of having events and peer groups and Slack, our online platform, there was something missing in that. It had to be a give back component. So our C9 Gives Foundation is live. We've got a couple of board members here. I think we've just got one board member here. So Becky Lewis is our director of finance. We've actually got Laura Cohn, who's running a C9 session right now. And then Gario and Avi Aliski were unable to be here. The mission of this foundation is to leverage our community, the Coalition 9 community, to have a positive impact on the small business community in the Twin Cities. We're going to do that through education. We're going to do that through advocacy. We're going to do that through mentorship, launching a formal mentorship program at the end of this year and into next year, and then also financial assistance when we get there. So if this is something that you think that you would like to be a part of, we'd love to have a conversation with you from a volunteer perspective. That's how I think we're going to have the most impact, is at a human level. All this technology talk and things like that, I think humans touching humans is how we're going to be able to really provide that impact with the foundation. There's two specific roles that we're looking for right now. Event planning. We've got an event track that we're working on for the fall. We need someone to assist us with that, and we can't keep pulling Emily into things because she's got a full-time role with us. And then two is on the creative side. So someone to manage our website, which is already complete, that Brenda made for us, but needs to manage that. And then some of the content creation, graphics, and things like that for social media. So if those tickle your fancy in any way, we'd love to have a conversation with you and see if that's something that you'd like to be a part of. This was an awesome event. I love that so many people came to this event, and I think some people still, their jaws are on the floor a little bit. So take some time, get to meet Dustin, get to meet Brian, get to meet some people from the Loffler team, Brandon from Layer 8, Stephen from Open Door, and all the people that made this event become a reality. Thank you very much. We've got the space to lunch, so go ahead and network and spend some time together. Thank you very much.